Hi, and welcome to the Voices of Persevere podcast. I'm Jake Schaefer, your co host, today with my partner in crime, Emma Graham. Emma, would you like to say hi?
Hello, hello. Excited to be here. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have with us today Arnulfo Gonzalez, who is one of our instructors at Persevere, also a graduate. Arnulfo, so glad to have you, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So we're excited about the opportunity to hear your story, Arnolfo. It's great and rich, and it exemplifies everything that we stand for at Persevere. So I'm going to get us started, and Emma and I are just going to spend time having a conversation with you. So um, before we get into it, just kind of introduce yourself and tell us what day to day looks like for Arnolfo and what you do.
Sure. So, my name's Arnulfo Gonzalez. I work for Persevere as an instructor, teaching remotely to the prison here in Arizona called Eloy. It's in Eloy. It's at Red Rock. So, I teach Monday through Thursday, from 7 in the morning till 3:30, and I approximately got about 15 students right now. So I just go on, throughout my day teaching coding, doing lessons, and helping them out throughout the day.
Awesome. So, I want to be respectful of your story and kind of just go through the progression. And so I'll start off our questions. Arnolfo, take us back to before Persevere, before you got sentenced. Just what was life like, and just kind of walk us through.
Before I got sentenced, um, I was, just not really doing much with my life. I was drinking, partying, didn't really have goals, just didn't really live up to trying to reach anything at that point. I didn't really care about myself, about, anything. My mindset was just like childish. Didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't see any future whatsoever.
And Arnolfo, you know, I'd like to kind of talk and move into, when you did get sentenced, what was your mindset in those early days? One of the things that really blew me away when we kind of had this initial discussion was the amount of education and self-improvement that you committed to while you're serving your time. I'd love to hear a little bit more of that.
Yeah. So when I got sentenced, I was sentenced to 8 years in prison. And, at that time, here in 8 years, I was like, oh my God, that's so much time. I was like, my life is over. I was like, it's definitely over. Um, just, but toward the end, when I was going in, I got really close to my family because, knowing I was going in, just trying to spend as much time with them. And yeah, my very depressed, right? Very depressed. And, I just, a lot of regret looking back at my life, what I could have done, what I could have done better and what I shouldn't have done. And yeah, it was just very, very, down moment in my life for sure.
Yeah. So, one of the things I remember from our initial conversation, which shocked me because now I visited with you a couple of times, you're very easy to visit with, but you described yourself as extremely shy going in. What pushed you to start speaking up? What changed that trajectory for you?
So I would take advantage of every class being offered in prison. Um, I wanted to come out a better person, um, with education and with everything, right? Communication. And so there was classes being taught by fellow inmates. And in order for you to teach classes, you have to become a peer facilitator and you take a class. And the class is like a mixture of like how to teach and like, the public speaking, right? There's a public speaking. So they do little, exercises like, okay, get up and talk for 30 seconds, then like a minute on a certain topic. Then, it was nerve wracking for me. I just couldn't do that and just sweating and just very, very nervous. And then they started having me do orientations for the prisoners, the new ones that come in. And the facility I was at holds 1,200 inmates. So orientations was every week and it was a pretty big sized group, about 60 people. So I would go up there and speak and, first time really nervous and then second week, third week, and it just build up confidence. And then after that, I was able to start teaching classes on my own and yeah, and I just truly loved it.
So I think that that's great. And, I know public speaking, it really is a skill set. I know some people are a little more, I guess, apt to it or more willing to do it, but definitely with practice. But I know it can be intimidating. I would say for most people, right? So the fact that
Yes.
you took those opportunities to make yourself, to continue to grow, I think is really important. And I know one of those opportunities that you eventually got to was Persevere, right? Can you talk to us about the process of getting into the Persevere program? Because I know it was a little sticky at first, right? We'd love to hear about kind of the perseverance that you had to keep going for it.
Yeah, so one day, I was going to my bed and I saw a flyer, where on my bed, and I looked at it and it said persevere, and it seemed interesting. I was all coding. What is coding? What I mean? I never heard about coding, and then other people would tell me, oh, it's just like programming and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, it seems interesting, and like I said before, I would take advantage of everything being offered, just to change my life and get better skills to use when I got released. So I applied, did an essay, and it was a little nerve wracking. It was like applying for a job because there was a panel of like four people in front of me and then interviewing, and so I interviewed, and unfortunately I did not get selected because I still had approximately 4.5 years left on my sentence. So they're like, no, you still got too much time. And I was like, okay, so be it. So then I continued teaching classes like I was, and one of my students was like, "Hey, I gotta drop out because I'm in Persevere." And I'm like, "How'd you get in?" And he's like, "Oh, the people drop." And they need people to replace them. And I was like, what? Because I thought it was just open ended, right? You start and stop at one time, not like reoccurring where people can come in. And so I was like, man, I want to get in. And he's just like, just keep going in and bugging them. I was like, okay. And it worked. And I was lucky to get in after the class started, about 4 to 5 months into the
Oh my,
first course.
that's awesome. Man, so when you first went in, like a lot of us, right, when we began the program, you had no experience, right? No tech experience. What was that first week like coding?
Yeah, definitely. It was exciting and also a little frustrating, right? Because
Mm,
it's exciting learning. I love learning. I love going to school, taking classes, and once you hit JavaScript, right? That's the actual programming language. That's the one that, and before I even went to JavaScript, the other students they're ahead of me, and they were in
okay.
JavaScript, and I could hear them complaining. I can hear them complaining and frustrated. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, that's what I'm looking forward to. So then once I hit it, I was like, wow, okay, this is a whole new ball game from CSS and HTML.
Mm.
This is, it's very much different, but just keep going at it, keep studying, and just the ball started rolling from there. I started getting my aha moments. And then eventually I started falling in love with JavaScript.
I love that. And I think one thing that at least I feel like is a common theme that we hear is this attitude of being a lifelong learner and enjoying the process of
Yeah.
learning, which I think is so valuable in any aspect of life, right? But especially beneficial in a career, especially in a career that is constantly evolving and changing the way that technology does. Um, you know, we're sitting here now with you, Arnulfo. You are teaching, right? You're an instructor. At what point in this process did you have the thought, hey, I could teach this. I could be the one, providing the education piece of this. Can you go into that a little bit?
Sure. So, as I progressed in coding, and then the students that were ahead of me started getting released and graduating, and more students started coming in. They would go to me for help, and I was like a unofficial teacher assistant, basically, right? An unofficial TA, and yeah, I loved going and helping them and explaining to them, and if you're able to help somebody and explain to them, you're getting it, right? You truly
Oh,
understand. And that's what I loved teaching people. I mean, helping others. So when they would ask me, "Hey, I got a bug over here. Why isn't this working?" And I'd go over there and help them, and they'd be like, "Man, you're good at this." And it gave me a lot of confidence. So I was like, "All right,
yeah.
I like doing this." So at that point, I was like, yeah, I think I could definitely, help people and teach what I the knowledge I've gained.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just spent a lot of professional life in roles where I am teaching or instructing. And if there's anything that I have learned about any of that, um, when I prepare to teach, I learned so much more, right? Just out of uh, default, right? I mean, because dry wells don't give water. And so, in order for me to impart knowledge to other people, my own well has to be filled. And it puts pressure on me to learn it and learn it deeply and learn it the right way so that when those students ask those questions, right, you're not you're wringing your hands trying to figure out an answer, right? You're able to really help and to make a difference. And so I love hearing all of the great things that you're doing there. Man, I have to ask you, one of the things that you shared with us is that you eventually became a teacher in the facility where you were incarcerated. The day you walked back into the facility, right? What did that feel like? What did it, you're now a staff member. What did it feel like going from an inmate to an instructor?
That was definitely crazy, right? Because I actually, yeah, so I've been in prison 3 different times, and so I was at that facility 2 different times in my while incarcerated. So I know that facility up and down. I used to work maintenance there, so I knew every building, everywhere. So when I got badged, and mind you, I just got out of prison and I'm on parole. So being on parole, having a parole officer, having to go drop a urine analysis and monthly meeting, and
Yeah,
walking back into prison, and they're like, what are you doing here? Because I've met a lot of people in prison, and they recognize me, and then they see me in civilian clothes. And so it was a little nerve-wracking, but also a lot of confidence that I was able to walk back into prison, right? And others were proud. They're excited. They're like, "Wow, I didn't know you can go back in like this, and you're doing great." And it definitely gave me the confidence. It was a good feeling to be able to walk back in and share with others that are still incarcerated, right? So they
yeah,
know that it's possible to
Yeah.
change and to come back in.
That was just my thought, is that I'm sure them seeing you in that way was
yeah,
kind of being able to look at the future for themselves potentially, right? To see um what that can look like. So, you know, for you, Arnulfo, what would be something that what do you tell your students now that Arnulfo back then could not have believed about himself, right?
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't, like, even when I look at myself, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm in prison teaching on the other side, right? So I definitely give them hope and inspiration. I help them navigate life after prison. So just they come up to me asking me questions all the time. Um, even about parole and how classes that I took out there. So it's definitely an inspiration, and that I get to pass down to them and help them. Because even when they get out of prison, they'll reach out to me, and even because I didn't have my driver's license for like 20 years, and I was able to get it within the first couple of weeks when I got out of prison, and that was another exciting feeling, being independent, right? Being able to drive. And so a lot of guys are like, "How did you get your license? Where did you go? How did you do this and that?" And I'm able to share and help people out, while they're incarcerated, and give them tips. So it's definitely a good feeling.
yeah, for sure, man. We when we do this, right, we have those initials and we um, plan our questions around some of the information you give us. This is not one of the questions, but I am interested, right? Teaching is such a personally satisfying occupation and endeavor, right? And especially for what you do, it's very easy to go and remember the mindset as the student, right? You're still very closely connected to that. How do you view your success? How at day's end do you determine I had a successful day today?
Seeing my students grasp the some knowledge and actually get through some algorithms and problems they have, and getting excited, right? When you see them get excited and high five each other, you're like, yes, yes, this is working, right? It's coming together. So I that's when I feel very happy and like successful, right? When you see these guys coming in, and even when the time's up and they gotta leave, they don't wanna
Yeah.
leave. They wanna stay there all day, right? That's a good feeling that they just wanna sit in that chair and code all day long. All right, because
Yeah.
that's how I felt when I was in there.
Love that. I love that.
Definitely. And, you know, another kind of talking point of success, one of the things that you shared with Jake and myself is that, you've been able to reach certain milestones like buying your own house,
Yeah.
right? What other, I guess, aspects of your life have you seen shift and change um, from that experience that you had?
So, being fully independent, right? Fully independent, where I pay my own bills, I have my own vehicle, my own place, not having to rely on anybody. Um, that's a very, very good feeling. Even just paying my electric bill, it's like feels good, right? It's like being responsible, being an adult, right? And this is stuff that uh we're not used to. We're not used to because you're in prison. Everything gets done for you. You get fed, you got lights, you got water, you got clothes, and out here you have to fend for yourself. So for me, being able to do all that out here, I feel good. I feel like it's a true success in my part. Right.
That's awesome for sure. Man, uh, someone in your position, right, who imparts knowledge and wisdom on a regular basis. These next couple of questions are so valuable to our audiences. What would you say to someone sitting in a cell right now who had just like you seen that Persevere flyer for the first time, wondering whether or not that's even worth it, right? What would you say to that person?
Um, I would tell them to take the chance, right? Take the
Yeah.
leap, and and don't get intimidated. Try something new. Get out of your comfort zone. Um, I think that's the thing that we get too comfortable and we don't want to try anything. We just
Yeah.
want to do our regular routine. So take a chance, and even if you don't get a career in tech, you're still picking up skills. You're still picking up teamwork, communication, and you're learning more about computers, right? So I would say just take it, take advantage of this, because this course here, it costs some money out in the streets, right? So it costs some money. So take advantage while you can get it in prison, and it's free. That's definitely what I would say.
Yeah. And so a follow-up to that, man, for people who are just beginning the journey, so not necessarily for people who are considering, but for all of our students who are just now sitting at the keyboard learning Python or JavaScript, what advice would you give to our brand new students?
So don't give up and read,
Yes.
right? I used to love reading documentation, digging into the node modules on the libraries, going on MDN docs, going on W3 schools, the just even the books that that you get to check out while you're incarcerated. I would love just sitting in my cell, just reading about coding, and then writing it down, and then go back in the classroom and trying it out on the computer. So it's you have to love to read, right? And like Emma was saying, be a lifelong learner, right? it's
Yes.
it's you gotta love that. But yeah, definitely reading.
For sure, for sure. Emma, did you have any other questions or follow-up comments?
No, I was honestly thinking probably as the non-tech person on the call, I'm like, what is it like to read a book about coding? I enjoy reading. Can't say that I've read anything about coding, but yeah, so that just struck me. I'm like, oh gosh, I wouldn't have even considered that. In my brain, I'm thinking everything online. But of course, there are books on everything. So no, that
For sure.
I don't have any follow up. Just a huge thank you, Arnulfo. It has been
Yeah.
such a pleasure, and really just even being able to work alongside you.
Yes.
So just thank you for your time and for allowing us to share a little bit of your story.
No, no, thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to share my story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to reach out to others and show them that change is possible.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to echo what Emma said, right? Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Thank you so much for being an inspiration to us and to graduates and to people generally. And if you're listening to us today, if you've heard Arnolfo's story and you have questions or you want to learn more, you can visit us at perseverenow.org. That's perseverenow.org. And one of our specialists will get in touch with you. We'd love to visit with you. We'd love for you to be a part of our journey. If you're interested in partnering with us as an employer or as a donor, please also reach out and support this mission. It is so vitally important. Um, this is a statistic that is very common, but 1 in 3 adults have been justice impacted. That's around 77 million in the United States. So this is a grand mission. It is a powerful mission. It is an important mission, and we need all of the support that we can get. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. I look forward to seeing you both as we go throughout our weeks. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.